You know those times when you're feeling emotionally all out of sorts and you can't figure out why? You sit and think to yourself, nothing bad just happened. Why am I feeling so off? Why am I struggling so much? Well, it might be for one of 5 very simple reasons that you might not be totally aware of until I say them and you check in with yourself and realize that, oh my gosh, that's what it is. And once we know what's going on, then we just have a better chance of being able to get ourselves through it and out the other side. So we're going to talk about what those 5 things might be that you can use really quickly and easily to check in with yourself on this. If you're new to me and this is the first time we're connecting, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered therapist, researcher, and online course creator. I work to help men and women get through the crap that is holding them back so they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And this is one of those things, not being able to figure out what's going on with us, that can really impact us, that can really throw us through a loop. So what might be happening here? And it's a handy little acronym called HALTed, H.A.L.T. And if this is a new one to you, we're going to go through this. And if this is some review, if you've heard this one before, then always good to have the review, because I don't know about you, but I oftentimes forget things. I'm like, oh yeah, I do need to remember that. I do need to go back over that. I do need to check in with myself on this one. So our acronym, the first letter is H, and H stands for hungry. It can be as simple as that. Just asking yourself, oh my goodness, when is the last time I ate something? You know the saying, hangry? Well, that comes from being hungry, which leads us to start feeling angry or emotional or out of sorts. That it really does wreak havoc on our emotions if our blood sugar level is low, if we are hungry, if we haven't eaten for a while, if we're malnourished. So if you're feeling emotionally out of sorts and can't really think of something that happened to throw you off, ask yourself, when's the last time I had a snack? Could it be that I'm hungry and I need to get those blood sugar levels up so I can feel a little bit more calm and balanced? And our next letter is A, and A stands for angry. Now, I'm not saying did something just happen to make you feel really angry and now you're emotionally off or you're upset or you're angry about it. That's obvious. You wouldn't be confused why you're feeling emotional if something bad just happened. But I'm talking about that underlying anger, bitterness, resentment, something that you're hanging on to, something that happened in the past, maybe the more near past or the distant past that you haven't resolved, that you haven't worked through. And having that underlying sense of anger, bitterness, or resentment can really just sometimes creep up and bubble up and throw us off emotionally, almost sometimes even out of nowhere. So, is there something that you need to deal with? Is there some unfinished business? Is there an issue that you need to address or a conversation that you need to have, that you need to work through and resolve and get past that anger? And our next one is L, and L stands for lonely. Now, this can be a little bit of a confusing one, especially in this day and age where we have so many friends that we're texting or messaging or we're on social media with, and we can think that we have all of these friends, but still feel really lonely. And the reason why this is because friends through messages, friends through social media are not the same as friends in real life, face to face, real time with each other, connecting, having deep, meaningful relationships and connections with 3-dimensional human beings right in front of us. And really and truly, we can't replace that need for that deep connection with social media or through texting or messaging. That I'm not saying that those things are bad, because those kinds of relationships definitely count, and they can be good, and they can feel good, and they can be valuable relationships, absolutely. But they're in addition to the real life connection, that we are hardwired for connection. It is an irreducible need that we all have, that we can't replace real life, human to human, deep meaningful connection with anything else. So if you are feeling emotionally out of sorts, ask yourself, am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling disconnected? When's the last time I had a real life meaningful conversation or connection with another human being in real time and face to face? Feeling lonely can really stir things up for us, can make us feel vulnerable, can make us feel off. And it is a really important one that we do take seriously, especially in this day and age where there is so much communication, but a lot of times it's not the deep, meaningful communication that we are all so desperate for and need so much. And our next letter is T, and T stands for tired. Yep. Being overtired, being under-rested can really wreak havoc on our emotional well-being, can really throw us off emotionally. Now, not for everyone. There are some people who, when they're overtired, when they're underslept, they just get slow and kind of groggy. But for the rest of us, being underslept really does wreak havoc on our emotions. So it can just be that the reason why you're feeling emotionally out of sorts is because you haven't had a good night's sleep in a long time. So ask yourself, am I under-rested? Have I been sleeping very well? Have I been sleeping enough lately? And interestingly enough, research has shown that being underslept, so not having enough sleep, can mimic mild to moderate forms of depression. And I was working with a client a little while ago, actually, and we were talking about this. We were talking about his struggle with depression. And then we started just looking at lifestyle factors, because there's a lot of different lifestyle factors that can contribute to depression. And we started to see that he was really stressed and really underslept. And so we started to look at the idea of him getting a better night's sleep. What would it take for him to get a better night's sleep, to start sleeping more? And he made that a priority because we were going to test this out and see if some of his depression was related to being underslept, to being overtired. And so for a couple weeks, he made it a priority to get good sleeps at night, to take naps after work. And he said it was like the fog had lifted. All of a sudden, he started to feel like himself again. And the majority of his depression went away completely just after getting a good night's sleep. Now, this is not the only reason for people being depressed. Absolutely not. But it just goes to show that something as simple as sleep deprivation can really wreak havoc on our emotional well-being. So get a good night's sleep if you haven't for a while, and see if that impacts your well-being, your happiness, your emotional regulation. And then our last one is D. And D stands for disappointed. Have I had a disappointment recently? Have I been rejected? Have I done something and put a lot into something that ended up failing? And the reason why this one can really take a toll on our emotional well-being is because when we've had a disappointment, some kind of rejection or failure, or something just hasn't gone the way that we were hoping it would, the way that we wanted it to, and we invested a lot into that thing, then that can take a while for us to be able to move through that, for us to be able to get through that feeling of disappointment. And those feelings can really linger there for quite a while. That it's not just like an hour or two or a day or two, or sometimes even a week or two that we're just back to our regular selves. So asking yourself, have I had a disappointment recently? And is that kind of festering under there? Is that kind of boiling under there? And is it just sort of creeping up? Are those emotions just starting to feel a little bit just sort of coming up and throwing me off? And I thought that I should be over it by now. I thought that I should be feeling better about this by now, but maybe I'm not. Maybe that disappointment is still lingering there. So our acronym, HALTed: hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or disappointed. Next time you're feeling emotionally out of sorts, can't figure out why, don't really think that there's a good reason, or there's an apparent reason or an obvious reason, ask yourself if you might be experiencing one of those 5 things. I'd love for you to come and join me in my Facebook group, goodformegroup.com. I'm going to put the link in the description. Come and join us there, an amazing community of deep, encouraging, insightful, supportive, just incredible human beings in that group. And also make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you're new so we can stay connected. Like the video, leave your comments. I'd love to hear how you found this one. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. And let me know too what helps you when you're feeling emotionally out of sorts. What helps you to get through that? Let's share and let's talk and let's share what we know with everybody else in our community here to be able to help each other out. And also, before you go, make sure you grab my tip sheet on 9 unexpected ways to immediately reduce stress. If you're feeling emotionally off, if you're feeling stressed out, there are some really handy, simple, easy to use, and really effective tips in there. Things that you can do that will really reduce your stress pretty much immediately. So make sure you grab that before you go as well. Thanks for being here. Looking forward to connecting with you again. And until then, take good care.